Alrighty. Hi everyone, it's Ionic. This video is not going to be grouping or anything of that nature. It's going to be actually a turn-in. I have all the stuff needed to get the Lambent Breastplate. So to get it, you need the Gypsy loot from the Gypsies in Mistmore. You need a Basalt Carapace, which drops from the gargoyles in Lower Guck, and then a Lambent Stone and 2 rubies. These rubies are expensive though. They cost us something like 130 a pop. So hopefully it's best in slot prior to planar gear, prior to playing a hate gear and brood plate mail. But yeah, that's going on. I also bought all the rest of my songs. As you can see, I am level 41, doing really great. But let me go to the bank and kind of show some of the stuff I've got recently. Kind of overflowing and I need to go sell. Kind of bad. But essentially this video is going to be somewhat of a recollection of my thoughts on the Mangler server as it is. But let me look and see what we've got. I'm gonna move that away. I don't need this anymore. Got myself a lightstone. So in terms of gear, those are some of the things I won. Adamite epaulets, which would be great for a cleric if I was ever going to start one. Embroidered black cape, which is really great for a lot of different casters. I got this from Unrest. That's from the Undead Barkeep. Some split paw hide belts. I got these Nullhide lariats from Split Paw, so I don't need to use this Torchlight battle hammer anymore because of the magic issue. A lot of mobs you can't hit because they require magic weapons. I got this from Unrest, but the embroidered black cape is kind of an upgrade. Let's see, what else did I get? Fine Steel Dragger. I've got a bunch of these from Unrest as well from the basement. The hags drop them so commonly. That is essentially it, but I've also won some other things. So this is the BP I've been using from Unrest. I also have a Jagged Band from Unrest. I got this from Lower Guck, and this is actually an item I used on Aeonic on P99 for so long. I actually complained about how ugly it looks. It looks like a brown paper cap, brown paper bag on Dark Hills. Won this in Split Paw. Yeah, just been getting a lot of different stuff. But the biggest thing, guys, the Deceiver. So this is actually prior to the Mask of Deception. This is the one that can be clicked from the inventory and anybody can use it. So I won that. That was just amazing. But okay, I'll show it in just a bit. I can't do it here because I'll be attacked. But let's see. This way. The new Freeport, I'm okay with it. Not a huge fan of the way they design it. I mean, it's nice that they don't have 3 different zones. They don't have North Freeport anymore. It's just East and West. And they got rid of the newbie yard itself in East Freeport. If you want to go to the newbie yard, it's in North Row. That's where it is. But anyways, my ideas on this server, some of the stuff I noticed. So first I'll kind of get into some of the mechanics. Show off the mask. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Some of the mechanics, some of the things I really do appreciate, some of the things I really do like about what this server has. There's a lot of convenience features when it comes to playing a bard. Hell of a lot of convenience features. The fact that you have bandolier, so you can quickly swap instruments and be as efficient as you possibly can. And you can even put bandolier in your macros to cast the songs, which is amazing. Having melody, I use that all the time, and you can, build that up with bandolier. Melody is so useful for when I always found it very useful for tanking, because even I wasn't getting a whole lot stunned in lower Guck, surprisingly. If you watch the video, you'll notice that it's not really that big of a deal. I'm gonna go right in front of this guy. Look, I'm one of you. Bandolier is just, it's been incredibly useful. Makes me be capable of being as efficient as possible. Some other convenience features I really care for. I really like the origin feature, especially on casters. On Kidorian, it's way more useful than it is on... I mean, it's useful on Aeonic, in the regard that since my Origins Freeport, it's like right in the middle of the world, quick to get around to anywhere. So even though my bind point was mostly in Greater Vadark or Kelthin for most of my leveling, it was a really quick just bam if I needed a group somewhere else other than Vadewar. Got it. The other thing was let's see what Neriak looks like in the revamp. And you get these like achievements whenever you go to a zone that you've never done before. So that's, I'm trying to go to different zones I've never done. I've never gone to Neriak yet. Oh, he's level 55. This is a better looking revamp of the old version. Now the problem is this. What happens when I go out? Are there guards immediately? Oh no, it's the old school. They didn't change the inside. Oh, I could kill these guards for EXP if I wanted to, but I don't wanna. Alright. Oh, no, 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 no. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. That was a close one. Okay. Now. Oh. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that the entrance or the exit from Neriak is so close that you can't even cast. Oh, you can't even cast something without getting aggroed. Oh. Boy, I got lucky. Alright. Run to Solo Sex Temple Solro. I think that's what it is. And it is 1, 3. Let me do that. Or no, actually no, I'm not going to. In current. So yeah, bandolier is a very useful feature. What else do I notice is quite useful? I really do like the looting system a lot more than on P99 in regards that it just kind of does a lot of the work for you, and it auto randoms and all that, and you can auto set who wins a piece of loot or whatever it might be. It's a lot better if you're a looter. Other grouping mechanics I notice. I really enjoy the yeah, this is I like the pick zone mechanic. I like the LFG window you can bring up, helps you find people. I really do appreciate as well the there's one more thing. Oh, marking NPC, where you can mark up to 3, I believe. It's so useful because of people who charm pets and stuff. It can help you discern which one's a mob that you want to attack, which one not. Very useful stuff. And just in general, grouping, what I've noticed is that it's actually more group friendly on live than it is on P99, strangely enough. Because on P99, since when you kill a mob, everyone has to share that portion. They're getting a small piece of the pie. You get significantly less EXP, as it seems, as opposed to soloing, where you get the whole piece of the pie. You get the whole pie itself. And that's why I always soloed on Aeonic and P99. That's why I always charm kited. I swarm kited. That's why I always did it. Because grouping experience was significantly worse than a soloing experience. And it was really sad because there's a lot of the game that I didn't get to experience because of that, or I never chose to experience. It was inefficient. Whereas what I've noticed here on live is that it's actually you get punished for soloing. Not so much in that you get worse EXP. You get pretty much the same amount of EXP soloing for grouping. Yeah, it's about the same amount of EXP I noticed to kill a mob for soloing and grouping, but the biggest difference is in a group you can kill the mobs faster. So you have to kill 50 mobs either way, soloing or grouping. You might as well group because it'll just be faster. That's what I noticed, and it's really nice because it's made me it's really encouraged me to group. I have not soloed once on Aeonic, and I've gotten this far. And leveling is a lot more convenient in the regard that they got rid of hell levels. They kind of smoothed it out. All right, let me look up. So I need to go find the bard guy. Yeah. Bard guy is Tricia Stardreamer. Actually, it'll say. Oh, I'll just look around. Yeah, what happens, like, I get distracted. I can't really speak as much when I'm concentrating on something else. A cool looking zone, though, that's for sure. Alright, so let me see. P99 Lambent. I don't like the Alakazam one as much. So it's the breastplate, but where's to get the gems? Each piece requires and you get these from Felicia. Actually, you know what? I have track. What am I doing? Felicia. There. Find me. Head into the right. Left. Here? Okay, so I need A Lambent Ruby from Valicia. So let's open up my bags. Give her 2 rubies and Lambent stone. Let's see what happens. I got a Lambent ruby. Okay, good. Now I need to open up track and find up Rissia Star Dream. Into the right, and this might be one of the first actually people ever completing. I don't know if it, I've never seen anybody wear Lambent BP yet, so I might be one of the first ones. I think I go up a level. Some other things I noticed too, that the skill caps, the rate of leveling up skills in terms of instruments is super slow, but leveling up other things, melee skills, swimming, your just general other skills, it's so incredibly fast. I got almost nearly max level, and just even in regards to skills themselves, they kind of opened up the caps. Like, it's kind of weird, like bards have kick on this, and it actually does pretty good. Let's see. On here? I'm just going, okay, so it's somewhere around here. Gotta be somewhere. Because there's someone looking at the screen going like, doing. Not that hard. It's down here the whole time. Lambent armor, Lambent breastplate. Lambent breastplates are not cheap, but I can get you one if you bring me a few items. I need later trades. Bring me a basalt carapace and a gypsy loot, and you'll also need to see about a Lambent ruby. Let's do it. There we go. The upgrade. Gotta show it off. Oh, I'm dead. I need to close all this up. Because I accidentally pressed the attack key. I'm such a noob. Oh well. Okay, I'm still 41. Okay, how in the world did I press the attack key accident? Oh, whatever. It's weird. That's another thing you'll notice. It's that dying, you keep your armor. But what I wanted to mention was that it seems like the skill caps got significantly raised on some of the abilities. So what I noticed is like my ability to lockpick is incredibly high, as well as safe fall. It's 204. Where on P99 it's really locked. You can only go so high on those abilities as a bard. Let's see. Some other weird things I've noticed. Yeah, once I get to the bank, I can kind of really elaborate. Stupid way to die. So I'm not a huge fan of necessarily the new models. I think they're kind of uglier. But the thing about them, if I was playing any other class but Bard, I wouldn't use them. But the thing is with Bards, it's like really glitch out if you use the classic models with the instrument animations. Like you use your stringed instrument upside down. It looks really dumb. Yeah, the new models, ish. I mean, they're okay, but what was I also going to mention? Some of the mechanics I've noticed that are different. I've been able to so on P99, what I noticed is you always have to, if you're gonna cast a negative effect on a mob, like a snare or a dot or whatever, you have to always keep line of sight whenever you cast it the whole time. Because if you break line of sight or go around a corner before it finishes casting, the song won't go through. Where on this, you can actually be quite far away. As long as you get line of sight when you initially start casting, like say the snare, you don't even have to see them. You don't even have to, you can be around behind a wall. And it's so useful to do that because you can see in the video in Lower Guck, there were so many wizards I was going up against that had Root, or even in Unret, Mistmore. There's a lot of these casters that had charms and mezzes and stuff and roots. And because I could be safe, I could break line of sight, and with a pull, it was never an issue. It was only an issue if I never got away fast enough. But I also noticed some of the other things I've noticed, like about starting out in this game, is it's a lot more crowded just because there's less variety of options of zones to pick. And if you really want to start a group, if you really want to be in a group, you can't just, this will not get you a group. You can't do this. That will never get you a group. I mean, sometimes. I don't want to make, nevers, but what I would always do is I'd kind of wing it, and I would just find a bunch of people who are close to me and just send a bunch of mass tells, or I'll use the chat channels. And I would try to find, I would just send tells to people and see if they wanted to start up a group, a pickup group. It could be anywhere. I have a couple ideas. Most people seem to be pretty down with it. And I really like being group leader too, because you can create the groups with the exact compositions that you want. In pretty much every group I make, I'm the only melee, and for very good reason. Melees in the beginning of classic period, there's just no gear. They're so severely weak because there's no real good gear so that they could withstand or grab aggro or anything of that nature, and that's why casters are so dominant. And heck, I haven't even seen many people play melees. It's mostly enchanters and magicians and stuff. So mostly what I've been running. Are you in Lambent? What? I think I know. Were you the one that was killing the mobs? There was a person who was picking between zones in Mistmore and the Gypsy camp, and I went in and there was someone was killing it. I think this is the person. Or Shalia, whatever, I don't care, but you know what? Let me check. I'm gonna inspect because oh no. Are you kidding me? Flowing black silk sash, lambent everything. Wow, are you kidding me? Whatever. At least it's not the Mistmore battle drums. Actually, Malin's mystical bongos. That's a good idea because that is part of the epic quest I'll need to do, and it's a good intermediate drum. In the meantime. In terms of the zone revamps, let me see how long this video's gone. In terms of the zone revamps, I'm not a big fan of the Freeport revamp. Though I like what they did with the rows, with North Row and South Row. What they did, Commonlands is now just one zone. They made it the mob spawns a lot better. They made it more spread out. I remember North Road didn't have as many dips and dives. You don't have to worry about your save fall as much. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot more spread out, which is something I do appreciate. But it seems like a lot of the stuff in Fate where they didn't change, it was mostly stuff related to Antonica. So a lot of the zones that I noticed they changed were yeah, they changed Ocean to Tears, Freeport, all of it, the Rose, Befallen has not been changed. Commonlands, Kithakor not been changed. I pass Hold, but not High Keep itself. Misty Thicket, I think was. Then you saw Nectalos. All of, and then Lava Storm. There's a bunch of revamps. They didn't change Kanos or Kanos Hills, which is nice, or even Black Burrow. Because I mean, I remember Black Burrow and EQ2 ish. It was not as good. It was not as cool of a classic dungeon crawl of his own. But I really preferred EQ2's outdoor zones over EQ1 just because they kind of spaced it out a lot better, especially Kunark. Oh my gosh, they did Kunark way better. But I mean, hindsight's 2020. They didn't know what they were doing. I like the inspiration of the original EverQuest though. The ideas that they had. It's so unique, so new. But yeah, there's some things I really do like. One of the things I don't particularly care for, it really gets me, is the charming mechanic, in that you have to wait for your charm to break before you can cast a new one, which is a real big pain because you have to get hit, essentially. You're guaranteed to get hit. You cannot time it to cast a new charm. I don't know. I don't know about that mechanic. Not necessarily a huge fan of it. I mean, whatever, it's there, it's not. Fine. Some of the other things I've noticed is changed up some of the abilities. Like this earlier level mez that bards get, Helen's Lucid Lullaby. It was an AoE mez on P99, where it's only a single target on this. And what was cool about it, because it was AoE, you could pretty much pull like everything and say Crush Bone or Unrest or whatever it might be, and just keep it locked down with the mez. You could handle a train basically as long as it was under level 30, which is pretty nice. But in terms of let's see, that's one other thing. In terms of rating, I haven't done anything yet, but they do have the agents to change on the server, and it's going to be nice that you can schedule, your guild can schedule a specific time slot which you want to raid, and do a very specific zone, and you don't have to compete with anybody. You get every single mob pop, and you can do every single raid target that's available, and which is something that's really cool compared to, I mean, P99 is cool if you want a more hardcore experience in the regard that there's an immense amount of competition. You know, every single raid mob, almost every single raid mob, spawns maybe once every 7 days within a randomized hour time period within that 7th day. And when you have so many guilds just competing for that same mob, it gets so insane. So by that time those 7-day repops come around, you you never know when it's going to exactly happen in that day because the hour variance. So it could happen at 3 a.m., it can happen at 2 p.m., it can happen whenever. Which can be really difficult. Really unfeasible. And you have to compete against so many other different guilds. So what makes it difficult is what makes it unfortunate is you can't do all the raid content. You really can't. You're kind of locked out just because of the competition. If your guild's not top tier, you're not going to be able to compete. There's just some stuff you can't do. Whereas on live with the Agents of Change, your guild can do every single raid target every single week. There's no prohibition necessarily. I mean, there's a lockout once you go into the zone, but beyond that, you just wait. And what I really do appreciate as well is that a big thing that happened on P99 is earthquakes. So you'll get maybe once or twice a month this random occurrence at any time of the day where everything will repop. You'll get this big earthquake, screen will shake, and everything will repop. Everything. And this resets the 7-day timers, because as soon as those raid mobs are killed, new 7-day timer. Next one up. And it's a pain. It is by and far, it is a pain, because that means that you don't have a scheduled raid on every Tuesday of every single week. You don't. So where you may have been killing this one raid mob on P99 for every Tuesday, you know, every 7 days, you get an earthquake on a Thursday, and next everybody kills all the raid mobs on that Thursday, and now everything's gonna respawn on those Thursdays. And what if you work on a Thursday but you're free on a Tuesday? You're screwed. You can't do the raid targets if you legitimately want to have a life. Whereas it's much more convenient with this scheduled matter. And I find that just because of the competition, it just locks you out from a lot of content. And just the competition, and not even that, it's also just the fact that with these raid targets, you never knowing when they're going to spawn, with the random on with the constantly changing days of which they spawn. There's just some content you won't be able to do. There's just some items you will not be able to get. I'm really excited because I know that I'm going to be able to get a lot of the Afridi instruments. It's quite feasible. I can actually probably get the brass instrument from Plane of Sky. I can probably get the wind instrument from Plane of Sky. I can probably get all the gear that I actually want. And even if there's competition, there's other bards in my guild, it's not a big deal. Just come back and try again next week. You know, you're guaranteed to have at least a chance of that specific raid mob that drops the specific item that you need. Because I just remember those Afridis in Plane of Sky. If every single guild, it seems like on P99 has like a very specific day that they have set out that they do Plane of Sky. And if your day doesn't happen to be the day where the lords, where the I think it's the lords or the Afridis when they spawn, good luck, buddy. You're not getting those drops. You're out of luck, and it sucks. There's some stuff. There's so much crap in P99 Aeonics bank from Plane of Sky that I'll never really be able to turn in, just because I never get lucky enough to get a lord spawn. It's ridiculous. And it's a weird dichotomy in that P99 forces you to be more social because people are much more interreliant, especially with porting and getting around, and it seems like with communication and stuff, people seem to be a lot more interreliant in that server just because it's built in. There's no planes of power, there's no Luklin to get you around. But it's less grouping friendly because it's a lot more feasible to solo. It's a lot better actually to solo in terms of EXP than it is to group, where on live what I'm noticing is it's just better to group. If you can group, do it. Don't solo. Yeah, don't solo at all. It's gonna be slower EXP and more risky. It's a really crazy dichotomy. It's much different, and that grouping element is what makes this game really cool. Like soloing, no one ever compliments your skills. It's like, okay, cool, you can solo well, only you know that. No one else knows. Whereas in every group I've been in where I've been pulling like crazy, done a really good job, people really appreciate me. They always want me back. When people know what you can do, they love it so much. And I thought that bards are going to be really tremendously nerfed on the server when they're not really. I mean, they're not able to solo like they used to, but their grouping utility is just amazing. The fact I can tank in every group, charm, crowd control, lull, like the pulls I can make are just insane. A lot of the time I just get lazy. I don't want to lull everything. And in fact, what's crazy is it's good for me to do 2 pulls. It's good for me to bring a double pull every single time because I can charm one for extra DPS. The bard's utility in groups is just insane in what they can do. And I haven't even scratched the full gamut because I never even snare kited, to the point where there's no downtime. Never did much of that at all. And I thought I was going to be disappointed playing this, but it's not. I thought I was going to be disappointed with how weak the bard class was, but no, not really. It's actually a very quite powerful class in groups. Make it or break it. Because I notice what really matters in your groups of all, puller, you need a very good puller because your EXP is going to be slow without a good puller. You need a good healer, so clerics are amazing at keeping me up. And then just a good crowd control. If you got those three, your group's pretty much good to go. Extra DPS, and you're pretty much set. It's been pretty amazing just seeing a lot of the grouping experiences and all that on the server, and I've really enjoyed my time doing it. And it's overall, I'm really happy that I got to experience the server when it just started out. I've never played like this when it was in Classic. There's so many different places I've went to that I never did before. Like doing Guck. I hated Guck just because it looked like a nightmare, and now I learned it. Unrest. I know Unrest like the back of my hand now, where previously I never really grouped there. Split ball, I never did there, but you know what? I really, really like split ball. It is an amazing zone. No one goes there, so there's almost no competition. There's so many name mobs you can pull. It's really easy to split pull in LoL because there's no really hard corners like in Mistmore or in Unrest. It's like basically a grown-ups version, like I said, of Black Burrow. Yeah, there's so many zones I got to experience, and it's just incredible. So incredible doing that. It's really nice, and learning your way around it and all that. It's so cool. It's like the sense of exploration. Like, or in P99, I felt like I was in so much of a rush. Where on this, P99, I'm being in a rush to level. On this, I'm just taking my time. Or it's not like I'm grouping fast, but it's still cool. I'm experiencing new things that I have never got to experience in this game before. And I've really enjoyed my time on this server. I'm gonna keep playing here. I think I'm gonna stay here on Mangler as opposed to P99. It's Yeah, I mean P99 is just a dead end. Once Chardock 2.0 comes out, it's not going anywhere. It's not gonna progress. Whereas this server, it's gonna keep going, and I didn't necessarily have a problem with the later expansions. Just my problem was that it was impossible to find groups leveling up. That was a problem I faced. Unless you were within that max level range, no one wanted you. So I really do like that. The thing of when you start out early, you get to take advantage of all that. And I gotta say how useful this one thing is too. Like $20, but man, is it worth it? This sizable satchel, 100% weight reduction, holds 40 items. What's so crazy good about it is I can basically go out for hours and hours and not have to sell or not have to worry about being encumbered and not being able to run or anything. Or the fact that coin weighs nothing on this server, which is really nice. You can have a million copper and it doesn't matter. Oh, that would help out so much for the J Boots quest. Oh, that much gold, yeah, you have to carry it. It'll weigh you down. You'll get encumbered. I remember that. This bag is so useful though. I thought about getting one for Kidorian, but the thing about casters is, once you got your gate ability and you got your origin ability at the same time, so you can basically origin back to your starting area, sell right there, and then gate back to wherever you're bound. And it's not a big deal if you're over encumbered, and you're not expected to pull. Let's be honest, as a caster, you're not expected to pull at all. It's not a big deal if you're encumbered. You don't need to move. Whereas on a melee like myself, a puller like myself, it's really a big deal if I'm encumbered because it hurts my armor class, it hurts my speed, it hurts all that. I really need to be fast. I really need to have my armor class as high as it can. So this helps out. I've been able to I stayed out in Unrest for hours. I stayed in Guck for hours, and this bag wasn't. It took maybe 4 or 5 hours to fill this thing up. So incredibly useful. And it's not necessarily classic. People might argue that, but whatever. We play this game for fun. And there's some stuff that isn't fun about this game. The corpse runs, they suck. Don't miss those. And it made it much, like, to be honest, I think a big reason why I never went into the big dungeons in P99 is because of corpse runs. Lower Guck is such a nightmare. It was such a nightmare to me to navigate that I said, screw it. I'm not going to go down here because I don't want to die here. I would rather AoE Swarm Kite in an open air zone where I can run away than being in a cramped little dungeon where if I die, I'm screwed. I might not have any way to get my corpse, or it's going to be an incredible pain in the butt to do so. And because, you just get an EXP loss, your gear stays on you, whatever. Who cares if you die? It's not that much of a big deal. Who cares if you go and experiment in a crazy dungeon where, it would have been really bad if there was a corpse left there. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal on this. It really isn't. It's not like you're going to lose your gear or anything. Other things I'll mention is the EC tunnel. The prices really are so random. Nothing's really stable because everything's just kind of steading up. So it's kind of all over the place. Like someone wanted to sell these Knoll Lariat whips for 150 plat. Like, no thank you, man. You can farm it for easier than that. But that was just ridiculous. Like, that sells for like 10 plat on P99. But then again, P99 has a lot more gear inflation. But overall, I'm really enjoying my time here on the server, and I think I really do want to just stay here. I'll get to experience a lot more of the content that I never got to on P99, and while I may not necessarily get to experience what is the full potential of what the Clark class was capable of prior to a lot of the nerfs that happened to them, I'm okay with it. They're not that nerfed. They're actually very powerful, surprisingly so. And a lot of the convenience features that are put in on the server, I don't know, I wouldn't trade it. And yeah, that's essentially all I'd have to say. Thank you guys all for watching. I will see you in the next video.